So I decided to go live today. I wanted to share something with you that was on my heart this morning. Something as I was going through my devotionals, and I just wanted to talk this morning about freedom and how to truly love ourselves. And I wanted to do this as a live. Normally, I do this pre-recorded and I uploaded it, but this morning I just said to myself, "Hey, look, I want to go live. I want to do this." So I may not see your comments, not 100% sure that I will, but please feel free to type some comments in there, and if I see them, I'll definitely respond. But this morning, what I really want to talk to you about is something that I was reading in the book of Galatians, chapter 5. And I want to read it to you, but then I want to break it down because I think it talks a lot about loving ourselves, loving others, and what true freedom in love looks like. And so here we go. It says, "For you were called to be free, brothers and sisters. Only don't use this freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but serve one another through love. For the whole law is fulfilled in one statement: love your neighbor as yourself. But if you bite and devour one another, watch out, or you'll be consumed by one another." Whew, that's a pretty powerful set of words right there, right? Or you'll be consumed by one another. So basically, just a couple quick things that we learn right here in this. A couple of things that are just boom right out there, which is we're called to be free. Okay, so thanks to Jesus coming down, giving himself up as the one and only sacrifice worthy of covering all the ways we turn against God, we are actually free. And according to Paul, we're free to do whatever we want. Now, before I go on, I just want to tell you a couple things. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure that you turn on notifications on the page. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. No matter where you're watching, please leave your comments. I would love to hear from you. And also, one more thing. Boop, boop, boop. There are some free resources you can download at www.jesusway.xyz. So please feel free to jump on and grab some of those. Okay, so let me get back into this here. So we're called to be free, and in that freedom, we can actually do whatever we want. Now, don't miss that part of the story here. See, a lot of times people will look at this and when they break down these verses, okay, they'll be like, "Oh, so love your neighbor, but if you don't, you're going to get devoured," right? And that's an important thing to focus on. But don't miss the part here where we have the freedom to choose whatever we want. And that's why Paul goes on to challenge us to choose love and serving others. So let me break this down. He suggests that the best choice is to choose love, to choose to love others, and to show that love by serving one another, meaning intentionally doing things to help one another. The word for love here is the Greek word agape, which means benevolence. Acts of kindness or charity might be a good way to describe it. And he says to actually serve one another through love. So basically, because we choose love, we choose to serve other people. Now, what does this have to do with self-love? Don't worry, I'll get there. And it's worth a couple minutes of hanging in. This isn't about emotions. It's about choices, okay? This is about choices. Now, Paul is saying that we're free to choose whatever we want, but since we're called to be free, aka since Jesus made the proclamation that through his death, all of us were set free, and we heard that call and we jumped on the freedom train, since we did, we now have a choice to make in how we're going to live. Now, he's speaking to believers here. This is important, right? He's not trying to hold to account people that don't claim to know Jesus, but those of us who say we do, he's holding us to account here by saying, look, you've got a choice to do whatever you want, right? You've already recognized that Jesus died for you and you got that freedom. You're free. You've been saved is the word, right? That Jesus saved you. You have the freedom to live however you want now, but he continues to talk about the choices we can make with that freedom. And Paul says, but if you bite and devour one another, watch out, or you'll be consumed by one another. What the heck does that mean? Well, the Greek word used for bite is dakno. I'm probably saying it wrong, but what it actually means is to thwart. Okay, and you might go, well, that's another word that I don't ever use because I'm not 70. The word thwart actually means prevent someone from accomplishing something. So Paul's saying, but if you prevent someone from accomplishing something and devour one another, watch out or you'll be consumed by one another. But the word for devour is actually the Greek word katistio, which means to use up. So Paul is saying, if you prevent others from accomplishing things, watch out, or excuse me, if you prevent others from accomplishing things and you use them up, watch out, or you'll consume one another. Now I want to stop and I want to ask a question here. And by the way, thank you for those that watch live. Thank you for those that are watching after the fact. But have you ever known someone who just uses people to get what they want or what they feel like they need? Maybe they're using people to get ahead in business, right? Building a relationship with somebody that they really don't like or care for at all, but they think it'll help them grow their business, make some money. Or maybe they're using people to fill their loneliness. They go out and get people to hang out with them, and they don't necessarily care about those people or like those people, but they just would rather not be alone. So they use those other people for comfort. Or maybe they use people to fulfill their physical needs or sexual needs, right? Because selfishly, they just want that fulfillment and they're seeking that out. Okay. We've all known someone who's been so consumed with themselves that they will literally use others so much that it pulls other people down or takes away from their lives. And prevents them from living the life that they were meant to live. We've all known people who have been so self-focused that they'll do that to get what they want. And to be honest, at times I've been that person that's consumed. I've been the person doing the consuming of others, using them for my benefit in all those different ways. And what I didn't realize is what it was doing to me and them. And this is where we're going to dig in a little bit on self-love in just a second here. But in my freedom to live how I want, I have consumed others. I have thwarted others from achieving what they are called to do. And that's a crazy thing. I've used up others in my life. And sometimes I didn't even realize I was doing it, and sometimes I just flat didn't care that I was doing it. That's the honest thing. Paul wraps it up by saying this. He says, watch out or you'll be consumed by one another. What does that mean? What does it mean to be consumed by one another? Well, it's important to understand that the Greek word used for consumed is analisko, which actually means to properly use up or destroy. So he's saying, watch out or you'll be used up and destroyed. What does that mean? He's basically saying, look, if you're so self-focused that you're using others, you're thwarting them, preventing them from living a life that they are called to, ultimately there will be a day where they are all used up. And you will have destroyed their lives. And along with it, my friends, we don't even realize that we become so consumed ourselves with ourselves that we're actually destroying our own lives at the same time. Now, I think there's a message here that's so relevant for today, for right now. We live in a world where we're told self-love is the first step to happiness, and it sounds logical to me. Okay, how can you love someone else if you don't know how to love yourself? That seems like an easy concept to understand, right? But if self-love is the first step, why are the rates of depression and self-harm and suicide higher than they've ever been in the history of our world? Maybe it's because we don't understand the best way to love ourselves is to stop doing things that are consuming others and destroying them, and consuming us and destroying us. Maybe we don't get self-love because, well, we don't get love. Let me say that again. Maybe we don't get self-love. Maybe we don't understand it because we don't understand how to truly love. We don't understand that the lifestyles we're choosing are consuming others and consuming us. Let me bring it all together here at the end. Okay. Jesus said in the book of Matthew, he was asked by a religious leader, one who was thought to be a legal scholar, right? So probably a Sadducee, right? Because they were keepers of the law. But a Sadducee or Pharisees, they're together, and one of them says, teacher, what's the greatest commandment? And Jesus says, the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. We know this is number one. He goes, and the second one that's right up there with it is to love your neighbor as yourself. All the law hangs on these two things. See, when we stop focusing on ourselves and we begin to focus on loving others and serving others, then we're no longer consumed. We're no longer consumed with ourselves. We're no longer destroying ourselves because our focus is no longer on ourselves. And when we're no longer consuming others, focused on using them up and then destroying them, when we're no longer focused on using others, using them up, we're no longer destroying others or ourselves. But by choosing a life that builds people up and builds into others, by doing that, what's happening is we're actually building into ourselves too, and we're building a life of love and happiness. See, the best way to love ourselves, my friend, is to love others, because when we're using others, we're using them up, we're consuming them, and it's consuming us. We're destroying them, their heart, their passion, their livelihood. And we're doing the same to ourselves. So if you truly want to focus on self-love, it actually begins with understanding where love comes from. God. He gives us the example of perfect love through Jesus, and then Jesus tells us the best way to live out this perfect love is to be intentional about showing kindness, compassion. That word agape, benevolence, kindness, compassion. The best way to live this love out is to genuinely love and serve others. And by doing that, do you know what happens? We don't have to start going, I need to love myself. I need to love myself. I need to love myself. Because when we're doing that, we start to feel that love in return. Because when you live that way, you can't help but feel God's love flowing into you. You can't help but be loved in return, because while not all the people you serve and give are going to say, you're great, thanks, I love you, when you're so focused on loving and serving them, you're not even looking for that. You don't care about that. All you care about is loving and giving and being for someone else. By default, people are going to see that and they're going to go, wow, you know what? I'm so grateful for you. I love you too. And when something flows through you, you can't help but feel it. So as you're loving other people, you're going to feel God's love pouring into you. So my friends, I want to challenge you. If you don't know who Jesus is, open a Bible, read the book of John, read the book of Mark, read the book of Matthew, the book of Luke. Those are the Gospels, right? Matthew, Mark, and Luke are the synoptic Gospels, meaning the ones that are really a lot the same. John has a lot of theology that's written in a different way than the other three. I would say, like, read Matthew and read John. Read both of those. Look at the red letters in there. Get a grasp for who Jesus was, how he taught us to love, and then go and do likewise. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching, whether it's live or after the fact. I love you and appreciate you. If you want some free resources, head over to jesusway.xyz. There's a great new couples devotional that my wife Darren and I created, and it's an 8-day devotional for couples. There's also a small group resource that I'll be putting there for download, which is an 8-week small group for couples to walk you through learning how to love like Jesus and how to really embrace loving your spouse. So you can download the devotional, do it together with your spouse over 8 days, or you can get a hold of the couples Devo resource. Look, if you got any questions, head over to jesusway.xyz and drop a question, or drop an email to support@jesusway.xyz, or leave a comment on the platform that you're watching on right now. Love to help out, love to help in any way possible. Listen, no matter where you're at in your life or your faith journey, you are just one moment away from living a life of love and walking with Jesus.